So, number one, don't try to reinvent the wheel. You can tweak it as you go along and make it your own. Don't try to reinvent the wheel, just do a different flavor of the wheel. Welcome to Let's Talk Real Estate. Today we have Shain, who's the team leader at Keller Williams Suburban Realty, and we're going to be talking an interesting little thing today, which is how I have all but tripled my business from my first year to my second year. So, Shain, why don't you take the lead?
Sure. I'm glad we're switching roles here today. That's fine. All right, Craig, year two, you were a newbie in real estate, no prior experience. Year two, your business has tripled, or is on track to.
Yeah.
What are the systems and models that you've put in place that have gotten you there?
Let's talk timelines for just a split second. So really, when I talk timelines, I'm thinking calendar year 2022, calendar year 2023. Just makes life easy.
Fair enough.
Calendar year 2022, I did 10 deals. And I'm on track for just by end of June this year, I should be at, I think I counted like 16 or 17.
Wow. All right. So you're outpacing yourself.
Yeah, so I'm outpacing myself. My original goal for this year was 25, by the way, and I thought I was out of my mind for making that goal. Literally, I thought I was out of my mind. I was hoping for 20.
I think that's a reasonable goal. So, All right. So you did 10 deals last year. You're outpacing yourself. What changed?
So I think it was a lot of systems and habits that clicked into place. When I was teaching voice lessons, I always taught that I don't want you to try to do a new technique, a new thing. I don't want you to try mastering 5 things in 1 week. I want you to master this one. And then next week, when it's good, I want you to add another. And then the week after, I want you to add another, et cetera, et cetera. And so I remember this really started back in September, where I overhauled my business and I went from being primarily cold call based, because I was teaching at the time. That was really all the time I had. And I had where is that business plan I have? I said my business was event based, meeting oriented, call supported, and database automated. So a lot of people will choose how they're going to build their business. I can't remember his name. Brendan Silva. A lot of his is about cold calling, things like that, outreach things. Mine, I love doing events. So I said, okay, I'm going to make mine event-based. And so I joined a bunch of different Chamber of Commerces. I started my own networking group that's about 4 months in now, and just started going to a lot of events. I also started going to like wedding expos. So it was a choice made on reorienting how I went about my business, and it was to get my face in front of people, because I discovered the more I got my face in front of people, the more they remembered me, and the easier it was to make that direct connection with them. Whereas on the phone, if I got someone on the phone and finally made a connection, I'd call back a month later, completely forgot who I was.
You touched upon a lot of good points there. And I think in my conversations with agents, the biggest thing I lean towards is when you're lead generating or growing your business, you need 2 forms of active lead generation and 1 form of passive. And it seems that you're doing that. You have your events are your actives, your calls and your meetings are another actives, and then nurturing your database behind the scenes can be more so of an active and a passive, depending on what you're doing, if you're sending mailers. So it seems like you got that model in place down. That's a really, really strong foundation. I also like how you said that, I'm moving away from cold calling because my business is changing. And that's an important thing for you to note as well, too. The one thing you forgot is the awesome coaching and consulting from your team leader, but that's okay.
Oh, okay.
I forgive you.
Okay.
But it's really impressive. So out of all these models, are you feeling that you're leaning towards one over the other, or is it just a nurturing of all of them equally?
So if I were to like sit back and figure out where the majority of my deals are now coming from, where the majority of my clients, things like that are coming from, it's really from, first of all, it's coming from everywhere. There's no one true thing. It's like, oh, I'm getting them all from wedding expos. I'm getting them all from doing the networking event. The thing is, I'm getting like one per thing. The wedding expos, I got 2 new buyers who haven't bought anything yet, but I'm a listing that's going up this weekend. Oh, the first event I went to on that gala, met a woman, had the meeting in December. A life change happened for her. We had a house for her in January.
Great.
So each one of them, I'm getting like 1 or 2 things from each source. And then the big one right now is from my sphere, which is the people I know and have known for a while. And finally they're going, oh, it's Craig, not just the musician, Craig who actually knows what he's talking about.
Well, you've proven yourself at this point. So where do we go from here? How do we keep growing?
Well, this is where this year is kind of my original goal for this year was get through the end of the year, maybe get 20, 25 deals, make enough money so that by the end of the year I could hire an assistant. I already have a showing agent who, when I just can't get there, I send her. She's incredible. But my goal for the end of the year was an assistant. And then I started to realize that I was getting so busy, I was getting burnt out. And I was like, okay, something's got to change. And I also realized sometimes you have to take a risk and build out the infrastructure before the business comes. Because I love the model, but a lot of times the model is saying, wait till the business is there before building the infrastructure. And I was like, and I was like, no, I can't. I have to build it ahead of time so that when it happens, and I got so frustrated that I was missing out on business because I didn't have the infrastructure in place to keep up with it. Now I do. So now I'm not going, oh, well, that was a pointless event because I couldn't follow up.
Right.
So I had to take that chance and hire. Now I have a part-time assistant who's here 20 hours a week, 8 to noon. Right now he's editing videos while I'm doing this.
To your point about the models and the systems, like you're at the point where you already need leverage in your second year. And that's great. That's awesome. Because once you introduce leverage, that's when your business really starts to take off as you build your team. Each hire you make is strategic enough that it should grow your business and support you in a way. And the fact that you were able to realize you were getting burnt out and then quickly adjust is another awesome thing that I think a lot of agents resist. Well, if I hire somebody, that's money out of my pocket. But that's the wrong way of looking at it. If I hire somebody, that's how I grow and that's how I increase my business, because each of us, we have a cap as to how much we can do on our own. We all do. We all have a limit. And people who think they're limitless are the people who burn out really quickly, and are the people who I think this shift is going to be a shrinking year rather than a growing year. Because you're taking these steps, you're going to have the opposite effect. You're already putting your systems and models in place to continue to grow your business in a healthy way. Yeah. I think that's great. All right. So as you're building, are you noticing any growing pains?
The biggest growing pain I'm discovering is trying to run down all the rabbit holes. And I want to go out on that ledge and be like, oh, I really want to create a really advanced system for this and really advanced system for this and redo that. And then I'm like, back to basics.
Right.
Like May for me, I wrote just on a little piece of paper. I was like, May is back to basics. I haven't lost it, but it's a reminder of, so I have this little thing over here and it says, your number one goal for today is make calls and get appointments. That's it. Literally it says, that's it.
Yep. Yeah. So most people are going to focus on the 80% that isn't an important driver in moving your business forward. It's going to be the fluff, right?
Yeah.
And we don't focus on the 20%, the most important things, the meat of our day. And that's how people fall down the rabbit hole, like you mentioned. People focus on 80%, not their 20%.
When I was teaching voice lessons, I always reminded people, I was like, when you really get down to it, singing is you breathe in deep, you exhale, and you sing. It's all about your breath, dropping your jaw, articulation. When I'm singing, even nowadays, you would be like, oh, he must be thinking about really beautiful articulation and thinking about, and I'm like, no, I'm 100% thinking about breath and control. That is it. That is 90% of my mental energy is on the same 10% of things.
So obviously you growing your business requires a bit of structure, and I know you well enough to know that you're big on time blocking. What does that look like for you on a day-to-day basis?
Now, time blocking for me is from up until 8 a.m., I get to do whatever I want. I can go to my deli, I can go to the gym, I can do whatever I want. I can wake up whenever I want, but I have to be here at 8 a.m. 8 to noon, I'm in this chair or in this room. 8 to about 8:30 is me talking with my assistant, prepping for the day. 8:30 to 9 is a group call that we talk about scripts. 9 to noon is some sort of lead generation. It's me calling the database, me following up on mailers, door knocking, social media advertisements, etc., etc. And then after 12, normally like 12 to 2 tends to be like some sort of education time period or lunch. And then really after about 1:30 to whenever is very flexible. Because I have meetings and all that stuff. Appointments, hopefully.
That's great. So what happens if the day comes and you're just not feeling it today, right?
Two things. Number one, if I wake up that morning, I'm like, nope, sick, nope, I'm burnt out, stop. If you're burnt out, stop. Don't work through being burnt out. That's the dumbest. I tried it one day. It was the worst decision. All you need to do is simply say, okay, I can move this to the next day, but I can't delete it. I can simply say, okay, well, in the morning, still got to do whatever I was going to do on Wednesday morning. But Wednesday afternoon, I know I have those 2 hours that are empty. Guess what's going to have to go there? The stuff I was going to do today. I remember the other part, which is one thing that became easier for me on this, on not burning out, was I've started to say, I'm not working Saturdays. I have to have my day. I have to. Because when I was working 7 days a week, that was when every day started to go down in productivity. Whereas if I truly have a Saturday off where I get to enjoy myself, get my laundry done, all that stuff, get to see my friends, things like that, that made me great for the rest of the week.
As we wrap this up, tell me a little bit about what your foundational model was, what kickstarted this.
So, number one, don't try to reinvent the wheel. We always want to reinvent the wheel. We want to make it better. We want to be like, oh no, it's got to be based on this. And then you just go back to the...
Yeah.
Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Just do a different flavor of the wheel. That was a terrible metaphor, but you know what I mean.
Hey, the one I hear a lot is we stand on the shoulders of giants. Others have walked this path before us. All we have to do is copy and paste, get the foundations down, and then make it our own after that. Yep. But the models are the models, and they work. And you're a proven point that they work, especially if we work them consistently.
Cool. All right. Well, I think that wraps up everything for today. Well, thank you, Shain, for coming on today and leading the podcast.
Of course, it's been fun. Anytime you need to swap this out, and I'll run the show from now on. It's fine.
All right, totally. If I just need a day off. Okay.
Hey, you need a day off. I'm your leverage. There you go.
Okay. Wonderful. All right. Well, thank you, and we'll talk again soon.
All righty.